welcome back to the TBM crew. Today I'm here with William Sterling. How are you, William?
I'm doing great today. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm so happy to have you here. But
Happy to be
why
here.
don't you tell us in a couple lines about your work and your books?
Okay. So I'm William Sterling. I am a horror author. I started out trying to write very I know everyone hates this phrase right now, but I tried writing elevated horror,
Yes.
doing the very highbrow stuff, and I
Yes.
quickly learned that that's just not for me.
Hmm.
I'm much more comfortable writing like almost the splatter punk, like just have some fun and eat some popcorn kind of stuff.
Okay, yes.
I I've got 3 books out. The most recent one, I've been calling it a reverse camp slasher.
Mhm.
It's basically if you think of the Friday the 13th movies and going back to
Yes.
that stuff, and what if we were openly asked to cheer for the villain and trying to make that kind of the approach this time.
Yes. And what do you think are your biggest influences? Which kind of reader in the splatterpunk is perfect for you?
Um, I've really enjoyed Jonathan Jans is one of my
Mhm.
favorite authors right now.
Yes.
I think he writes really scary stories that don't try to do too much. They're just a lot of fun.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of which ones I could talk about without ruining anything here. Uh, he's got, I guess his biggest one is the Siren and the Spectre. So
Mhm.
there's this person that moves into a house by a lake or a river. I forget which body of water.
Yes.
There's this ghost walking around. It's just a very classic setup, but the way that he approaches it is just very fun and very fast paced, very easy to read kind of stuff. And I love that sort of an
Yes.
energy.
Okay. And what do you have a favorite character of yours? Can you relate to any of your characters?
um, if I had to relate to one of my characters, oddly, I think it would be the 6-year-old boy in my
Ah,
very first book, Through Frozen Veins.
yes.
Most of my characters are kind of bad people, which it's a horror book.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
people up to die, you don't want to love them. But in that first book, there's this little 6-year-old kid running around that has no clue what's going on at any point in the story.
Yes.
Readers picking up on, okay, this is happening and this is happening and this is happening, but the kid is just
Mhm.
totally blind to it. And unfortunately, I feel like that's me more times than not. Going through the beat points, like I don't know what's going on here, but I'm having fun with it.
Yeah. Well, that's what horror is all about. Sometimes it doesn't have to make any sense.
Yeah, no, in fact, it's kind of scarier if it doesn't make sense.
Yes, absolutely. Well, actually, fear comes with the unknown, right? So it kind of makes sense, not making sense. And do you have a favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Um, oh, that's such a loaded question. It depends on
Ah, I know.
uh, I
Okay, maybe one traditional one
okay.
and one new one.
Okay, one traditional one and one new one. So my traditional answer, I think I'm going to say, is the original Saw. Uh,
Mm,
this is my fallback answer. I saw it late middle school when I was really getting into horror for the first time. My parents
yes.
were not about horror. We didn't have horror stuff in the house, so I didn't really get exposed to many horror things.
Yeah, me neither.
Snuck into the theater to see Saw.
Yes.
Um, I was in a film studies class and we were looking at the stuff happening in Sundance, and there were all these stories coming out about this little indie horror movie that was making people like run out of the theater throwing up and freaking out. People were walking out left and right, and I was like, I
That's a good
have to go
movie.
see this. Yeah, right. That's a sign of a great movie. Especially to me as a middle school kid, that was exactly what I was looking for.
Absolutely.
But just my experience watching that movie for the first time in a theater that reacted exactly the way you would want a theater to react at the
Yes.
ending when the big twist happens. There were people all around me jumping out of their seats going, no, no, and like running out. And it was just, so I think that's my classic answer. Um,
Yes.
More recently, though, for some reason, the one that's jumping out at me right now is Ready or Not. So Samara Weaving running around, killing all of the
Yeah.
family that she just married into, or that she's trying to marry into. I guess I don't know if the ceremony actually like concluded or not, but it's just a lot of fun. I guess going back to my answer about what kind of horror I write, like that's kind of my energy. Like chick with a shotgun running around a house fighting the big bad guys. Like I love it. Let's do more of that.
So fun horror.
Fun horror, right?
Fun horror. I like that. Sometimes you need that to get out of the serious horror, you know, because sometimes it's too much. Like, okay, I need to love, like you play the Evil Dead, or I don't know, something cheesy, the Killer Tomatoes or something like that.
I can only watch so many A24 movies in a row before I need some levity.
Right. Have you ever watched this kind of amazing awful movies like The Attack of the Killer Bed or Killer Tomatoes, or have you watched them? Are you one of those like me?
I don't usually gravitate towards those. I feel like for me, there's kind of a line where, okay, it's so absurd that I'm not really enjoying this anymore. But I've seen the Sharknadoes. I've seen Trolls 2. I've seen the schlocky ones. I don't know. There's this nice little window that I like to live in, and they're just a little bit farther than I usually go.
And do you have any scene in your book that you've enjoyed it, especially writing? Or a difficult one, or the other extreme?
Yeah. So I don't know if enjoyed writing it is really the right way to phrase this, but in my latest book, the Killer Killed one, I didn't understand when I started writing it exactly how big it was going to spiral.
Okay.
So I had a bunch of moments while I was writing it that I kind of got to this point. I got to a story point where one of the main characters is dead, or one of the main characters is facing off against three counselors. And I'd have a moment where it was like, well, this could happen, but it would be really stupid and nobody would believe it. And it would make this whole thing much more ridiculous than I ever intended.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? Let's do it.
Yeah.
And like 3 or 4 different times in the book, you get
I killed him.
Right.
Yeah.
You get a bunch of moments of, oh,
it just happened.
I didn't think it was going that direction.
Yeah. Yes. So when you start the book, do you regularly know how it's going to end, or is it always like that?
I am so most authors kind of put themselves in one of two categories. They're either plotters, where they know all the different story beats that are going on, or they're pantsers and they just fly by the seat of their pants. I try so hard to be a plotter. When I start my books, I've got the whole end game planned out, and I know what I want to happen when, and I know what I want the climax to be. And it never goes the way that I wanted it to. While I'm writing, without fail, every time I get like 30 pages into the book, and then we're already off script. The outline's gone, it's dead in the trash can, and we're just going. So it's a very long way to say pantser.
Yeah, but maybe that's why you can write this kind of fun kind of horror, right? Because maybe if it was too planned, it wouldn't be as natural or as fresh.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to that.
Yes. And yeah, sorry.
If you're tying yourself down to the ideas you already had, and you get new ideas while you're writing, and you're not allowing yourself to pursue those,
yes,
right, it maybe drains some of the fun out of it for you.
Well, and maybe it's the way of surprising readers too, because not even you knew that was going to happen.
Right.
So maybe it's the secret for the perfect twist or unexpected ends on the books, endings, right? Are your books like that? They suddenly change?
Yes, actually. I did not, let me think through this. Yeah. So all three of the books that I've published and all four of the books that I've written,
Yes.
they end with act three being something that I don't think you could have possibly predicted in act one. I don't really like starting movies or starting books and getting
Yes.
20 pages in and knowing, okay, this is where this is going.
Yes.
If you can predict the ending of a book by the halfway point,
Mm.
I don't really know what I'm doing there. So I very intentionally try to throw some sort of a curveball in as we're going. I don't like ending in a place that you would have expected. I don't know if it's a
Well,
choice necessarily, but the progression is always going to be a little bit loopy.
well, it really sounds like very fun.
Thanks.
Yes, absolutely. What would you think is the most difficult part when publishing a book? Writing, the process, what's more tedious?
I love the writing process and even the editing process. I know a bunch of authors really
Really?
complain about, like,
Yes.
this is very fun, but I like the editing process because usually, since I'm a pantser, as I'm going back through and editing it, I'm noticing all the places that I can make the book stronger or little things that I could tweak. So I
Yes.
like feeling it getting more and more polished. I hate marketing. I am
Ah,
so bad about getting my stuff out there, getting like self promotion. Like I am so bad at that. I don't enjoy it. I don't like talking about myself very much. It's not.
yeah. I think that's very common, and in the horror genre because a lot of authors are so introverted. A lot, a lot of them. So, but well, you are a writer. You're not a marketer. It's a very different profiles.
Yes.
So it's understandable. And if you had to choose, well, I was going to say one, but I will say two
Okay.
books that you have read from other authors that you would say those are amazing. I recommend these books to any horror reader. Which ones would they be?
Okay. Let me look over at my shelf. Okay. First one that's jumping. Okay. I've got my two.
Yes.
The first one is going to be Paul Tremblay's Head Full of Ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I unabashedly love this book. It it follows this girl and her family, and the girl might have been possessed by some sort of an entity. The whole family's trying to figure that out throughout the story, but
Yes.
it's a unique spin on it where a film documentary crew has gotten a hold of the story and they've come in to record everything. So
Mm,
all at once, it's kind of a ghost story and it's kind of a found footage story. And the way that he weaves the two of those together, it just blew me away the first time I read it.
that's
He is
awesome.
such a master of getting that kind of a vibe down on paper.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
and then since we're on TBM, and I'm assuming everybody watching this is a big horror nerd like us, uh, Graham Jones's My Heart is a Chainsaw. I know it
Mhm.
is getting a lot of love right now with the Stoker Awards and everything, but
Yes.
it is as good as it's billed to be. Uh,
Yes.
Constant references to the stuff that we love. There are constant like movie references that maybe a
Mm,
non-horror fan is reading it and they don't quite get all of it. But as a horror fan, we're gonna read it and we're gonna I see what he did there. That's a Jaws reference.
yes.
Oh, he did. That's a script reference, and it's
Yes.
so much fun to go through.
It's
One, it's
horror
a good
for nerds.
right, exactly.
Yes.
Uh, it's a great story, and then the Easter eggs just kind of push it to another level for me.
Yes. And what kind of horror do you enjoy more? Like, for example, haunted places, demonic, psychological, gore.
Um, I'm I'm a big haunted demon person.
Yes, me too.
I, I,
I
I
like
like
you.
yeah. Let's be friends.
Yes.
Um, I think the human horror stories are great, and I think the zombie horror stories are great. But I also think that they're always kind of a little bit limited by just the content that they're approaching. Like there's only so many things a human being can do to hurt another human being, and there's only so many things a zombie can
Yes.
do, like within the lore to hurt another
Mm,
human being. Demons, all bets are off. Like you don't know
yeah.
where the story is going, you don't know what's on the table and what's not. So I really like the demon stories, trying to figure out. all the
Mm.
mechanics going on.
Yes, I love the demonic horror too. Even more because to me, what it seems creepier for me, it's that for example, when there's a story of a possessed person, you never know who's talking. You know, the fact that the demon can be tricking you, and you can be near someone that suddenly is a demon, suddenly they're not. That I find it so scary, and that's in the in general. When you watch a movie like that about exorcisms, or that's what I'm always thinking. Like, but is she the demon or is she not? I mean, it's and I that's what I find more scary, because that keeps you thinking all the time on, and you're never sure. I'm never sure if they finally exorcised them or not. Like, how do you know it's not there anymore? Right?
Right. Do you have a certain movie in mind that you're thinking of right now?
For
Because
example,
it sounds
yes.
like full of ghosts to me. Like that is,
Yes.
yes, that is that book to a T.
Hmm. I was thinking, well, I don't know why, but I was thinking, for example, in the exorcism of Hannah Grace.
Mhm.
Have you watched it? That she's
Yes.
very like, especially, and when she, well, I mean, can I spoil this movie? It's old. I mean,
Sure. Yeah.
everyone has watched The Exorcism of Hannah Grace,
Spoilers.
right? When she finally takes the hand and she turns into that, she's the same. You never see a demon in there. You
Yeah.
hear the noise when she gets alone with someone, and when she grabs the car and everything just gets into flames like the Ghost Rider, you know, something like that. She just changed her face. Like, suddenly I'm a little younger and now I'm a demon, you know. I find that fascinating. And you think, has was it in her mind, or it really got into her? How is that? Do you have a favorite movie of this kind or book?
It goes a little bit off of what you're suggesting right now, but I think The Thing,
Mm,
the John Carpenter movie, does that same kind of a trick very, very well.
yes.
Constantly watching Kurt Russell and trying to is he the
Mm,
thing now?
yes. Yes.
No,
Yes.
is
No.
he
No.
actually
Yes.
exactly the same anymore? I don't know. Uh,
Yes.
but yeah, that's
Yes.
the first one that's popping to my mind.
Yes. Now you made me think. I don't remember, because I have fish memory and I forget about the titles. But I came across a movie on Amazon Prime, because sometimes I get there like, let's see what do we have. And many times they are very disappointing. But I watched one that it's the name, it's like not transporter, but something like that, like the name of a job, transporter or trans, I don't know. It's a guy that he's in a wheelchair, and he
Okay.
has this gift that he can exercise someone, but getting into the mind of that person. Like, he suddenly appears in the world of that person, in their mind. Like, from like they put them like a liquid or something, a substance, and he gets like in a coma, and they have to bring him back. And when he gets into the mind, the thing is, the possessed person doesn't know he's possessed. The demon gets in the mind and he tricks them inside, like they're living a life in there, so they are not out. Like, for example, if it's a kid, when he gets into the mind of the possessed kid, the kid is in a fair, he's playing in a fair, and he's with his dad. But his dad is the demon, because his dad is dead, he's not there anymore. But the demon has tricked, you know.
Is this
And
Possessor?
yes, what?
Is this Possessor?
I don't know, I can't remember the name. I'll have to go through my history on
Okay.
Amazon Prime. Is that like a blonde guy, like kind of Kurt Cobain kind of profile?
Actually watched it, but Possessor is a new Cronenberg movie that I watched the trailer for, and I kind of
Ah,
put it on the back burner. But this sounds a lot like what I saw in the trailer, so like maybe this is Possessor.
I don't know. I don't
I don't know.
remember that name. but maybe it is because I really have very short memory. I can't. But it was very interesting because it was like a different perspective on possession. The person doesn't even know they're possessed because they live in a parallel world. They keep them deceived, and to bring them out of there, he needs something from reality that makes the mind snap of that person. So they start a chain of realizing that that is not real. Like, wait, my dad was dead. It's true, you were dead. Why are you here? And in that moment, that dream starts fading, and he needs to find a green window. Like there's always that window or something like that, and they have to jump. They both, when they jump, the person, but it gives you a lot of anxiety because there's always that point. He's always in the line of death because he's in a coma, and they have to bring. It's something very, and it was a different kind of exorcism. Well, I found it cool, not linked with religion or with priest or with anything. Just a kind of guy who does that to redeem himself from something. I can't remember, but it's a very cool movie. I look for the title. I look for it. It happens to me a lot that I didn't remember this. It's difficult. And do you play games?
I do.
Tell me about it. Which games do you play?
Okay, so right now the one that's got its hooks in me is the Evil Dead game.
Oh, yes. Okay. I haven't been able to play it yet, but how is it? Is it good?
It's fun. So if you played the Friday the 13th game that came out a while ago, it's the same sort of approach. So it's 4 player characters versus 1 player character who's the demon.
Yes.
You're running around trying to shut down the Necronomicon. It's very offensive based, whereas in Friday the 13th of the game, you had to hide everywhere and you were hiding under beds, and a lot of the game was just you sitting there waiting for Jason to walk away. This time you've got guns in your hands and you've got shovels and you're supposed to be knocking demons out.
Yes.
I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's really hard.
Yes.
Especially if you're on a team with people that don't know how to play yet, or people that aren't trying to play or anything like that. Like, you need all 4 people locked in. But if you get on a good team and you're with a bunch of people that kind of get what's going on there, it gets a lot of fun. I've had amazing games.
And you can play as a demon too, right? That you can have the role as. And have you done that? Is it fun?
It is. You're opening portals to hell and throwing demons at these players that are getting mad at you because they can't do their biz because you're throwing demons at them. And it channels a lot of the energy from those early Evil Dead Evil Dead movies.
That's awesome.
Very ridiculous with people yelling one-liners all over the place. I'm having fun with it.
But what is your favorite game?
My favorite game of all time.
Yes.
Ooh, it's either BioShock or The Last of Us. I really like the stories that both of those tell, and I think they're a lot of fun to play on top of that. I think that's a very hard line to balance of having a story that's worth telling and having gameplay that's really fun. It seems like most games kind of lean to one or the other.
And have you played Silent Hill?
Yes.
What do you think of it?
No, I gave the wrong answer there. Resident Evil.
Okay.
I love running through Raccoon City and leveling up your grenade launchers and just carving through zombies. Silent Hill is great. It is, and this is going to sound like the completely wrong answer, it's a little too scary for me. The mind.
It's so dark.
Yeah, the mind tricks it plays on you. I just kind of get in a bad space when I play it. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, actually, games are like movies where you get into. I mean, that's the cool thing about games, and the scary. I mean, horror games can get very, very creepy. There's one I would love to try, which is called Martha is Dead. And have you played that one?
I haven't. I've seen it, but I haven't played yet.
I really want, because the graphics, the images, everything seemed like very, very, those, how you call it, this, the dolls that are with the strings. I don't know how you call it in English. I don't, the puppets.
Yeah, puppets.
Yes, puppets. And all those images with the puppets representing the scene where they find the body, and it's so creepy. I want to try it.
Yes, I'm a big fan of puppet horror. So my next book is a puppet horror book. So I guess
really, it's so scary. Dolls
yes.
and puppets scare me so much. I actually, even when I was little, I never wanted them, because I just I placed them somewhere and I stared at them to see when they were moving. You know, they're so scary.
My aunt and uncle that live in Alabama have an attic that are just it's full of my aunt's old dolls from when she was. And that's where the kids' guest bed is. So we would go up into this unfinished attic and have to try to sleep surrounded by dolls. It's not about it. That is my nightmare room. That is
absolutely. I would never go there. Not even stepping into that. I actually was. Do you know? Well, I'm sure you do. The movie The Boy.
Yes.
You know, I was so disappointed by the end, because I really thought. Well, now I'm spoiling many movies. I really thought it was what it seemed it was.
The
but
possessed.
yes, but I was so disappointed. Like, really? Is that? It's not possession. It's not. No. I was so scared of this doll. You know, it's really, really creepy. Right?
I think there was a Brahms the Boy 2.
Yes.
The mouthful, but I think they retconned that in the second movie and made it a possessed doll thing again. Like, oh, we were just kidding. There's all the doll is also evil.
I don't know. I'm already upset.
Yeah.
Now I don't want to watch it.
Okay. Fair. It's not very good, so you're not missing much. But
yeah. Do you have any movie that has disappointed you like that? Like,
not in exactly that way. When I was in college, some of my friends and I had this ritual where every Thursday night we would go out and we would try to find just the worst horror movie we could, find an intentionally really bad one.
That's why you have watched The Killer Tomatoes.
Right. That's why I watched a couple of those. Right. But one of the nights somebody brought a movie called The Box. I think it was Cameron Diaz in it, and like it was a big name movie. It wasn't just some funky thing to be thrown away, but it started out with this really cool premise that somebody brings a box to the main character's house, and if you push the button on the box, somebody somewhere in the world that you've never met, that you will never meet, they're gonna die, but you'll get $10 million or something like that.
It sounds familiar to me. This.
I think it was a short story too, but that good setup and concept lasts about 15 minutes.
Yes.
And then you push the button. And the whole rest of the movie after that makes no sense. And there's something about a guy walking out of lightning, and there's some dinner party where somebody gets run over with a car. Like, none of it tracked, and we were just all getting more and more disappointed as we watched it. This will turn around at some point. No. It just.
Well, I think we all have that one. I have not that disappointing, but yeah, normally a lot of movies that they are very commercial, you know, that they are not really scary. But for example, I was the other day talking with a friend that I was so disappointed with the last Candyman that they did, because to me, the actor, he's so handsome. He can't be scary. He's too handsome. You know, it's like, why is she saying no all the time? It doesn't matter. He's that kind of ghost. Just go with him. Don't you see him? Come on. You know, he's too handsome. He's not scary.
Yeah. And I think that movie did a lot of things really right. Like the visuals are so cool when Katie
Yes.
made it showing up and reflections and stuff like that. I think they do a lot of cool stuff in it, but I think that movie was ruined for me by the fact that I knew Tony Todd was supposed to show up in it, and then
Ah,
he didn't show up until the last like 5 seconds of the movie, and it's for a single frame. It's like I wanted so much more than that.
yeah.
My own expectations might have ruined it for me a little bit. I don't know.
I think
But
that happened
it didn't quite
to
work.
many people too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sometimes the original movies are much better than the remakes or the but and we're running out of time. The time flew with you. You're too fun to talk to.
Yeah,
Where
thank
can
you.
readers find you?
I am only on Twitter so far. Unfortunately, I haven't dove into the TikTok. Nobody wants to see me dance. Uh, but if you
I'm
go
sure
on,
we do. We do.
no. My own wife doesn't want to see me dance. She like no. But I'm on Twitter at spooky_Sterling. And I'd love to meet some more horror people. Come hang out with me.
Okay, amazing. We will link everything below so they can check out your fun horror, which I
Yeah,
will too, because I'm really looking forward to it.
thank you.
And I'm sorry we have no more time, but thank you so much for your time today.
Of course. Thank you for having me on.
Keep me updated on your new books and everything you do.
Will
We're
do.
in touch. Now we're in touch. We all okay.
Yep.
So take care and have a lovely day. And thank you so much.
Yep. You too.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.